Welcome back. We are reacting again to an explanation of why people get stuck in relationships.
So this will be interesting. Because Dr. K is the man. Even the way he talks just like so silky.
So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about value today.
Silky, right?
So sometimes we have these experiences in life that like hurt. And they can make us feel less like people. Like they're even dehumanizing. And, we look around and we see like other people being treated with value, and sometimes we don't get treated with value. And that hurts so much that like our mind has to come up with a reason why that person is treating me that way. Because the idea that I'm just like, I'm not worth it is so painful in and of itself, and that I have to rationalize or justify or excuse that person's behavior. Because if we can excuse someone else's behavior, then it's not that we don't lack value. They're not actually treating us appropriately. There's a reason they're treating us that way. So it's like okay for them to do that to us. And it's bizarre because in that moment, by giving the other person an excuse, you're protecting your own sense of value. But then what happens is that becomes maladaptive very, very quickly. And then what happens is like we start giving people excuses for mistreating us. Because when we give them an excuse, then it's not our fault to like, I'm not actually a bad person. This person was just raised in such a way. And like, that's just, has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And so we start to create these solutions where we protect ourselves from what they do to us by giving them an excuse. And that's actually what screws us. Because then suddenly, no one is doing anything wrong. And at the end of the day, you're still getting hurt. And if you're getting hurt and no one's to blame, then like, what do you do with that? And that's
have you ever experienced that?
I was gonna say, like, this might be a little bit hard because I've never felt that feeling of feeling stuck with somebody.
I think he's painting it in a way where you get stuck with somebody because you're making excuses for their behavior, despite their behavior being bad towards you. But I don't think I've ever done that.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've never excused bad behavior. Like
I probably
well, in a sense, he did bring up like because like their childhood. We've had this argument when it comes to like certain exes of mine, and I've explained to you like, oh well, their childhood this, their childhood that. They're not truly like the worst human ever. They're not like a terrible person. So it's like, but at the same time, we're able to say, well, that person is grown. They know to make these different decisions. I feel like that's the only sense that I've like excused.
I wouldn't even bring that shit up at all. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this person did this, that, and not even making an excuse, but their childhood was kind of fucked up. That to me, once you reach a certain age, you're an adult now. All that is shit is bullshit.
You know what? This is a therapist. Is all he doing explaining how they get stuck, or does he give advice on how to get unstuck? I feel like I can tell you how to get unstuck. Like I can be the new therapist.
Psychiatrist explains why people get stuck. He might explain how to get the fuck out and get out.
Let's see. If not,
end
I'll
up
do
like
it.
Stuck interpersonally with other people. That's where you end up with like trust issues and all these other like weird manifestations of propagating unhealthy relationships because you're not willing to hold the responsible parties responsible. And so when you give them that excuse, you take away from yourself the capacity to forgive. You take away from yourself the capacity to move on. Because remember, if they didn't do anything wrong, then what is there to forgive? And so you're kind of stuck in this limbo where there's pain that you kind of defend against, but you hold no one responsible, and therefore you can't. And you
end up commented, what if you just blame yourself for other people's behavior and all the friends you have are toxic people? What would you do if you just blame yourself?
This is my issue. I feel like it's really hard to put myself in a situation I've never been in. I feel like I've never been in that situation for a reason. You know what? Yeah, I've been lying this whole time.
Are you talking about Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was going through your mind as to why you were staying in such a toxic relationship?
It was because I know that that person was a very good person and had a really good heart. How I see it is that it was maybe the drugs that started changing them. And so there would be like moments of good times. Bro, that person, anybody watching that knows what I'm talking about, that person mentally fucked with me so good. Like, they were so manipulative.
Up in this weird like limbo where like it just feels weird, like relationships feel off to you. And this especially happens with people in your life that you love. Because the more you love them, the harder it is.
Do you think, because you've already said no, you've never done that. Maybe there hasn't, you don't remember? Has any female...
I haven't done what?
Have you been like manipulated? Or like have you given excuses for somebody and maybe you don't realize? Or do you think that there could be female out there that could say that about you?
Yeah.
They've made excuses for you? Like, has anybody like let you, like, stayed with you through your bullshit?
No.
They didn't
what I mean is I definitely was manipulative and played games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that ever excused it. I definitely did some corny shit in the past. You call them a bluff.
To accept that they did something hurtful to you, because that hurts way more. So the more you love them, the more you make excuses for them. The more you make excuses for them, the more it isn't their fault. And the more it isn't their fault, there's no need to forgive. Everyone's hunky-dory. Everything's great. No need for forgiveness. I can hang out with him tomorrow. Everything's great. Except they did do that thing to you. And it did hurt. And it does hurt. Another week goes by, they do it again. Another excuse. No forgiveness. No responsibility. No need for change. And then your hurt builds up a little bit. But no. I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to be a nice person. It's not their fault. They were raised by really abusive parents, so it's okay if they hit me. That's just the way they were raised.
Yo.
And so it's devastating.
No.
It's
No, bro. That's what I'm saying too. It's like, I don't feel like the behavior that I have excused in the past was never even like that serious. It should never get to that point. It really shouldn't. And because my story, I was like 16, 17. If you are a grown woman or man, don't ever excuse abuse.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to me that there's actually people who, like, whenever I see videos of people, specifically women, like getting fucked up, and they're just still with the guy. As fucked up as it sounds, I have like kind of like no sympathy.
No, because I always see so many comments on like, don't say anything if you've never been in that situation, you don't understand. I've never been in that situation because as soon as a guy started giving like any toxic abusive tendencies, I cut that off right then and there.
But you were saying you've never been in that position, but you're making it sound like you kind of understand where they're coming from.
What do you mean?
The victim. You were saying, I don't understand. I've never been in that. You said I've never been in that position because you would cut that shit off. But you were making it sound like you understand the victim as to why they would stay.
When?
Now. I thought you were going to say like, oh, I've never been.
No, I said I'm not.
Or like people would say like, oh,
I'm not
unless you've been through it, you won't understand.
Yeah, people say that, but it's like, how is it getting to that point where you're staying? And this sounds so fucked up. This really does. People need to start calling it out. Like, bro, call it out as it is. Like, stop the whole, oh, well, you have to just, start to hate them. Stay until you hate them. These are like the comments I see all the time. They'll be like, stay until you hate them, or if you've never been in this situation, like, you will never understand how hard it is to leave. I don't know, all these things, I'm just...
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to relate to this because I'm kind of a big victim blamer when it comes to that. But apparently, a lot of people go through it where they get stuck in relationships like that, where they're getting their ass beaten. They just can't leave. I understand the women who have like, I do know somebody who was married and wouldn't leave even though they were getting their ass whooped because of the kids.
One thing my mom told me, because her first husband was super abusive, was how he would buy her nice gifts after all the time. And so I remember there was a guy in my life who, very short period, I cut that very short. I noticed they were using really mean words towards me and then would like buy me little things. I left. So I was like, that's not, no, that's a sign. That is a sign. I just feel like as women, you know what? I'm not gonna victim blame, but I do, because I don't like men. All women should have higher standards.
Yeah, that's where the root of how I feel about it.
It's like you're a female, like you.
I'm a feminist.
Dude, exactly.
Like I get certain things that feminists try to fight for, like women's value should be really high, as far as not accepting a piece of shit dude like whooping their ass and like them still staying with him and stuff like that. They do be saying some crazy shit that I don't agree with. Raising your standard as a woman doesn't mean that you're still equal to a man. And when they hear that, they lose their mind. But it's just like, you'll never be equal to a man. Not that a man is superior, but it's just different roles. Men need to do better because they need to protect women, not beat their ass. And women need to do better by picking better men.
What if the woman does pick a good man and then she gets pregnant, you have a baby, all this stuff, and then she finds out like this is her best friend. They don't ever like have truly bad arguments, but then one day she goes through his phone and finds out he's been cheating on her and paying for OnlyFans, like doing all this like really fucked up shit, and he's just like a completely different person than what she thought. She picked a good, decent man based on like how he treated her, but behind.
Yeah, no, I was kidding about that. Like
what would you do in that situation? As a woman, what would you do?
If I were a woman, I dated a guy who was pretty much like my dream guy, got married, had kids, and then I find that shit out, you need to leave his ass. You need to leave him. But then you run into the problem of being a single baby mama. And finding that second one is the hard part. Finding a man who's willing to do that kind of is rare.
And you don't even always need a man.
Or, yeah, you could just die alone with 7 cats and your baby.
Difficult, because like part of the reason you're stuck is because you can't forgive. And part of the reason people ask me, how do I move past stuff? How do I let go? You have to like forgive, right? You have to accept, you have to forgive. But you can't do that as long as you deny there's a problem. And the reason that you deny there's a problem is because it hurts to admit that there is a problem. And so in a bizarre way, if you want to start moving forward, I know this sounds bizarre, because people are going to tell you that like blaming is what gets people stuck. But especially with those you love, start with blame. Start by holding people responsible for what they're doing. Start by holding yourself responsible for what you do. And then comes the hard part, right? Because we're really good at holding ourselves responsible and beating ourselves up. I'm going to do better tomorrow. I'm going to work harder tomorrow. Next time it's going to be different. And then you beat yourself up. So when it comes to yourself, you need to do the second piece, which is forgive. So assign responsibility, accept it, forgive, and that's when you can be free. That's when your relationship can get better. That's when you can start to move forward. But you have to start by calling it what it is. If someone mistreats you, call them out on it. If you love them anyway, you can say, hey, like, I care about you, but like what you did wasn't good. And it hurt.
Yeah, his chat is taking everything out of context. Blame everyone I love. Okay, got it. That's not what he's saying, dumbass. How can I forgive myself if I've been so bad in the past? It takes a lot of self-reflection and truly saying the past is the past. acknowledging whatever you did that you can't forgive yourself for. You need to understand that what you did was wrong, or what you did might have not been the right decision.
Forgiving is easier did than done.
A lot of people seem to have the problem of forgiving.
Can I go back to what I'm saying? Because I'm feeling like really guilty and I'm like overthinking what I've said with the whole like victim blaming. My whole thing is just like, because we talked about this the other day and you were like, would I be able to? Because we watched As You Stood By on Netflix, where she gets abused, and then her and her BFF, the abuser. So he asked me if I'd be able to, if he ever, and I was like, probably, but it would be an accident. My idea is if you ever hit me, bro, I'm grabbing like anything and everything near me and like I'm gonna attack the fuck out of you. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just hard for me to understand because I've never been in that position. I just feel like if I was in that position, like you hit me, I'm grabbing this shit and like pounding it into your skull as hard as I can. So it's like I just like,
What advice would you give these people? They seem to have the problem of forgiving themselves or forgiving the person that's abusing them.
That's also hard for me too, because I'm a very grudge holder.
Like one of the things, let's use a hypothetical. Not anyone particular. Let's say you're dating somebody and they did have a really tough childhood and you seem to be stuck in a cycle in the relationship with them because they're projecting all of their bad shit onto you, and it's a bad relationship and it's abusive and it's gaslighting and all that good stuff. I think what he's saying is you need to admit to yourself and blame them and say, you know what, you're full of shit. By forgiving them, you say, I understand that this person has had a tough childhood, but it is not okay what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I cannot be with this person anymore. You know what? I forgive you, but you need to work on yourself.
I feel like I probably would try to help them. Like if I really love this person and they did have all those issues, I would try to help them, but there's only so much help you can give somebody until it just completely drains you. I don't feel like, and you know what? Megan Fox on her interview, she made the best like statement ever. And it just like really stuck with me. Basically, she was like, what men are out there that like, I don't want to word it wrong. I really don't.
It's worth it like that.
No, it was like something along the lines of like, do they be having like magical things or something that y'all be putting up with? Like something along those lines. Like, why the fuck? Like, what man is worth that? Like, what?
And then a lot of times when I run into these TikToks, it'd be some scrawny little motherfucker with glasses who's not even, who's a nobody. And then you see these poor women dealing with abuse from this little motherfucker, and I was like,
I don't know. I've seen so many of those like nanny cam videos on TikTok that just like make my stomach hurt of these men just like, but I haven't really seen like a specific type. It ranges from those like bulky, like ugly ass like white dudes that like they wear their like little camo shorts down to their butt crack real low. And they have like a beer gut almost, and they're like talking shit, throwing, kicking shit, acting like a little toddler, down to like a nice looking like light skinned dude that's like beating the fuck out of this pretty ass woman. Like it's always just like somebody different, and like range is completely different. But it's just why nobody's worth that.
Yeah, ladies, do better.
No, men, you know what? Let's change this to like men. Stop fucking hitting people.
Yeah, hey,
bro.
boys, we gotta stop beating our women, okay? Not okay. Put your hands on your woman, you dumbass. One of the biggest problems right now too is that I feel like a lot of marriages are being separated, or a lot of kids are being born out of wedlock, and they don't have that father figure to beat their fucking ass to be like, boy, you treat every single woman with respect, the same way that you would treat your mother. All right, Dr. K's
I hate men.
Right fuck men.
And when it comes to yourself, if you blame yourself way too much, learn how to forgive. Like, yeah, you did screw up, but that's okay because no one's perfect. And you're going to do your best next time. And that you are in your own corner. That you're willing to give yourself another shot. So be careful, because the things that we do to protect ourselves from hurt are the things that sign us up for more hurt down the road. And you have to understand what you're doing to yourself. And once you begin to understand what you're doing to yourself, you can start to change it. Try to change it. Do your best. Just like today. Right? If we look at Aaron, like what he did wonderfully was like at that very last point, I don't know how else to say this, but we talked about it for a while.
What if that person doesn't want to admit that they are ever wrong? It's kind of like talking to a wall. You kind of just let it go and let it be. If you're explaining your feelings to somebody and you're telling them like, hey, I don't like this, I don't like when you do this, or if it's like really obvious, if they're obviously beating your ass or being super manipulative, there's nothing that you can say to certain people. Certain people just are not going to hear you out. They're going to continue to try to gaslight you. At that point, you have to have a really strong mind to still say, like, all right, clearly this person doesn't think they're in the wrong, but I still forgive them. I don't see hope anymore, to be honest. Damn, some of these people are sad.
And then he didn't get to it until we pointed out what he does to protect himself. And if you guys are trying to clean the hurt, you have to take off the shell first, and then you can get out in there and clean it up. So be careful about the things that you tell yourself to protect yourself from being hurt. And try not telling yourself those things. Let yourself feel that hurt. Let the consequences flow. Sit with them, and then you can move forward.
Shout out to Dr. K, yo. That was interesting. He does a lot of these types of videos.